So you're thinking about moving from Hawaii to Utah. So in this video, we're just going to compare both states. We live in Utah, but Sean has lived in Hawaii before. So we have a pretty good idea of what both states are like. So we're going to talk about things like cost of living, overall, general health. We're going to talk about tax burdens, which one's best to retire in, education, healthcare, all that good stuff that goes into figuring out what is a better place to live. So let's get started. So let's talk about overall first. So obviously we're biased because we live in Utah. If I were going to choose between both states, I would choose Utah personally for a number of reasons, but I'm not the only one. Actually, U.S. News and World Report, they have a list where they rank all of the different states, and here's the criteria that they use. They use crime and corrections, education, healthcare and natural environment, economy, fiscal stability, infrastructure, and opportunity. And so Utah actually is ranked number 3 out of all 50 states, whereas Hawaii is ranked number 25.
Yeah.
And then overall, so I actually have never lived in Hawaii, but Sean has. So overall, what would you say? Why would you obviously prefer Utah? We're not living in Hawaii, so obviously we prefer. Why?
Well, one, we have to kind of get this caveat that there's different islands in Hawaii, right? So all of them have their different flavor and vibe. Obviously, Oahu, where Honolulu is located, is a metropolitan area. It's got like almost 1 million people. I mean, it's got, it's just a huge population, high rises and all, the whole 9 yards. And then you have like the next islands down, so Maui's the second largest, and that's where I actually used to live. And what I'll say is that in Maui, you did get a sense of feeling a bit confined, a little constrained, because even though, yes, you can take a short flight to get to Oahu or wherever you want to go to, you don't do it that often. I mean, so it's just it's just a pain to go to the airport and all that other stuff. And that's just, so you get this island people, because you just feel like you're totally stuck, in a relatively small population perpetually. Like a lot of people, it's like decades they don't get off the island. And I mean, that was the stuff that was kind of really getting to me, was that whole just constrained, confined area. So basically, obviously in Utah, you have you have a state that's surrounded by a ton of other states. You're not separated by the ocean. You're close to a bunch of different places, and depending on where you are in Utah, you have different metropolitan areas that you have access to.
Yeah. So before we continue, let's introduce ourselves. My name's Courtney Dezad.
And I'm Sean Dezad.
And we are licensed real estate agents here in the state of Utah.
Yeah, and if you're watching this channel, you're probably thinking, wow, Sean, I love Utah. I love St. George. I love the Red Rocks. I can't wait to move out there now. But the thing is, I'm not local. I might be out of the area. I might be out of the state. So I don't know the first thing to do. And I totally get that. That's why you want to reach out to us. We have that conversation to really pinpoint what your exact needs are and find that perfect property for you.
And remember, the team we work with here in Utah has over 40 years of experience in real estate here. So now let's talk about the weather in both states, because obviously, what's interesting about Utah is depending on where you are, the weather, while much drier than Hawaii, it's actually not that dissimilar to Hawaii. So let's talk about it. So obviously, if you're coming to Salt Lake City, that's going to be a big adjustment in terms of the winters, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But we are actually in southern Utah, and a lot of people don't even know what southern Utah is. Southern Utah is just right outside of Vegas, about an hour and 45 minutes outside of Vegas. Climate very similar to Vegas, except I would say our summers aren't quite as long and they aren't quite as hot. Not to say that they're not hot, they're extremely hot summers.
Yes.
But yes, people often get confused. When people found out that we were moving to Utah, they'd be like, moving to Utah, why are you gonna have those horrible winters? And we'd be like, well, actually, southern Utah has nice winters. That's why people move there. Exactly.
Even from up north, people move from, let's say, Salt Lake City, Idaho, Montana, because they're tired of the freezing winters. They move down to southwestern Utah, southern Utah here, to basically escape that whole thing. So you have basically year-round outdoor temperatures where you can be outdoors all the time. Well, you can be outdoors every day of the year. It's just that obviously in the summertime, you probably want to make that more in the mornings.
Yeah, and you can still reach out to us if you are thinking about moving to Salt Lake City, even though we specifically ourselves work in southern Utah. We have partners in Salt Lake City, so, we can get you connected with somebody that can help you in Salt Lake City. So we'll just continue to keep talking about the state of Utah overall.
Yes.
Even though we specifically live in southern Utah.
Yeah, and again, that adjustment period you're talking about. So, and obviously Hawaii, having lived there for a few years, basically it's humid, it's beautiful weather, but it is humid weather. And it doesn't really ever get very cold, right?
No.
At all.
It's really nice. In the winter.
Yes,
especially.
The winter time is the best time of year. So, but yeah, it's pretty. Again, during the winter, it doesn't get that cold. Whereas in Salt Lake City, it's snowing. I mean, it's legit, cold, it's cold temperatures. Whereas in, again, southern Utah, again, just kind of show you the differences here. Southern Utah, the winters obviously get cold, but nothing close to like, we might get a little dusting of snow every so often, like every so often, but it's not like we're getting like snowstorms or anything like that.
No, it's like if you've ever been to Las Vegas in the winter, it's almost exactly the same.
That's a great correlation there.
Now, if you are thinking about moving because you're thinking about what you're going to do when you retire, Wallet Hub recently had a survey of the best places to retire, and they actually named Utah as number 11 and Hawaii as number 24. And I would say, like, probably a big reason of that is cost of living, because cost of living in Hawaii is significantly more than Utah. Hawaii has one of the highest cost of living states in the United States.
Oh yeah, it's very, very pricey. And so Utah, again, depending on where you are in Utah, like the range, I mean, obviously we certainly have our expensive pockets, no question. Like, Park City is not cheap. So, I mean, you have like, a bunch of, you have areas that are super pricey, but there's a lot of other areas that are much more reasonable, especially compared to Hawaii.
Yeah, and then also when you want to talk about tax burden, I mean, this is again according to Wallet Hub. When you look at the tax burden, so this is all taxes. This is not only income tax, but also property taxes, sales tax, all of the taxes you get taxed on. Hawaii is the second most taxed state behind only New York. So yeah, if you are, well, nobody likes to be taxed. Like, everyone doesn't like the tax man. But I mean, especially if you're thinking about retiring and you only have like a limited income, taxes can be like a huge deal.
So yeah, so therefore, and like, so if you're comparing the two, right? So Hawaii is a double whammy of cost of living being extraordinarily high and extraordinarily high tax burden.
Yeah.
Whereas Utah, cost of living is, again, much more affordable than Hawaii, and the tax burden is much cheaper too.
Yeah, so if you look at bestplaces.net, that's a place that we like to go to for cost of living. So Utah is, so the national average, they give it a score of 100. So Utah's a little bit higher than the national average, but honestly not much. And most of that comes with the real estate. I mean, there definitely are some pockets here that are quite pricey. Here in St. George, where we are in southern Utah, the real estate is not cheap here. I mean, it's still like on the pricier side.
Yeah, and again, however, in this instance, it's cheaper than Hawaii.
Significantly cheaper. Like, I would say Hawaii is very similar to California in terms of like its real estate prices.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so like while Utah compared to the United States has a little bit more expensive real estate prices, compared to Hawaii and California, it is nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
So now let's talk about things you're going to be doing, right? I mean, obviously Utah doesn't have an ocean.
Yeah, we are landlocked. So yeah, so the ocean activities.
Yes.
Okay, you can say, okay, that's not happening here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, if you love the ocean, you're in the ocean every day. I mean, I don't know if Utah is the place for you.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you can go to people that really love surfing and stuff. They can sort of get the same fix if they're in the mountains. So if you're
snowboarding?
For snowboarding, yeah, like snowboarding or mountain biking, they kind of get the same like adrenaline high. But it's not the same, right? Like,
if you're like, again, if you're a religious surfer, you're best served to look elsewhere, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna be real about this. You're just not gonna find anything that compares to surfing here. Now, we do have water activities. We do have the mountains. We do have hiking. We have a bunch of other things. Like, in fact, actually, one thing we do share in common is the Ironman.
Oh,
so actually, so obviously Hawaii famous for the Ironman World Championships. Well, last year, St. George actually hosted it.
Yeah, we hosted the Ironman World Championship. So if you're talking about just pure outdoors, not including water, right? Utah is one of the best places to live in the world if you love the outdoors, right? There's so much. That's why people come here, because they love the outdoors, whether they love the mountains or they love just all of the fun stuff that you can do in the desert here. I mean, it is an awesome place if you love to be outside. But that being said, if you love the water,
the ocean in particular.
The ocean in particular, yeah. I mean, it's not here.
Yeah, we have water activities. Again, just ocean activities.
Yeah.
We got.
Yeah. So now let's talk about healthcare. So according to U.S. News and World Report, actually Hawaii is ranked as the #1 state for healthcare, but Utah is not far behind. It's number 11. We do have good healthcare here. We are served, the whole state is served by Intermountain regional healthcare centers, as well as other, different types of hospitals. Yeah. But Intermountain in particular has been ranked in many different lists as a very, very good hospital system. One of the best in the country, according to many different ranking lists. So yeah, healthcare actually we have it covered in spades here. Actually, so here in southern Utah, we actually get a lot of people coming in from Nevada that come to our hospital because the healthcare facilities are so good here. Now let's talk about, big city living. Obviously, if you're coming from Honolulu, you're used to a big city. Obviously, most people live around Honolulu in Hawaii. Like Sean lived in Maui, so let's talk about that. Obviously, here in southern Utah is a small town, right?
Yeah, relatively speaking, it's about 200,000 people. So we're the fastest growing metropolitan area in the country, actually. However, we're still about 200,000 people here. Good news is that about an hour and 45 minutes down, you have Las Vegas, right? Which, well, I know that, from my experience, Hawaiians are very familiar with Las Vegas.
Yeah.
They call it the ninth island, so it's a very familiar place. So if you're familiar with Las Vegas, so an hour 45 minutes, totally different vibe as far as So I would compare South like St. George, like that St. George region, to like the most western edge of the Midwest. Like that's kind of
like the vibe.
Yes,
exactly. The vibe you're getting, like the wholesomeness. Right?
And actually, that's another thing about Hawaii. Like that's that whole friendliness atmosphere. Like again, we also used to live in California, so we're familiar with basically people being like neighbors never talking to each other, that whole thing. Yeah. So here, very kind of aloha kind of vibe from that perspective. Actually, I would say that people are very friendly. So I guess that's a nice little, like a nice way to get kind of assimilated to the culture here. Is that it's actually very similar from that like friendliness vibe.
That's for sure. Yeah, this is the first time in our lives that we've actually been friends with our neighbors. Yeah, like the whole neighborhood is just very friendly. Like people do stuff together, have barbecues. I mean, it's just like a friendly place.
Yes, I mean obviously it's anecdotal, but at the same time, we've heard from plenty of other people that this is a pretty regular occurrence as far as that goes. Yeah,
like people talk to you. Like you go to the store and people talk to you because they're genuinely interested in you, right?
Yes.
Like,
As opposed to Zurich. So our honeymoon was in one of our stops was in Switzerland, and beautiful country, absolutely it almost makes you cry because it's so beautiful. However, the friendliness factor to strangers is just not there.
No.
I saw two people literally walking past each other in a train station collide. A good third of their bodies collided with each other. No one turned, they just kept going. Yeah. I mean, I was kind of blown away. No one would make eye contact with you. Okay, that's a whole other story. But so that's not here. So here, very, very friendly vibe as far as that goes. But like going back to the whole metropolitan area, metropolis kind of thing. So what's nice is that you are close, but you do have, you have that small town, you kind of have your cake and eat it too, because you have that small town vibe, but you're not like a world away from civilization. Like, again, that's where, being on Maui, I would say that there's a lot of similarities from that small townness, but it's so much easier to get to, like, a big, like a population center.
Yeah, and then obviously Salt Lake City is a big city.
Yeah.
I think that metropolitan area has about 3 million people. So yeah, if you're wanting a big city, but one nice thing, like how Sean was saying, like here in southern Utah, you really can have your cake and eat it too. Like we are in Vegas all the time. Because it's actually, you can just go for the day. Like it's really easy to just hop in like back and forth.
Yeah, it's an hour and 45 minutes. It's a nice smooth drive too. Like depending, you have to time it, but like it's a nice smooth drive. Some of the best shopping and dining and entertainment in the world is just right there, so it's kind of incredible. So now let's talk about the economy, right? So actually Utah is ranked the #1 state for economy.
So obviously Utah, very business friendly, very fiscally sound. Hawaii, not exactly. Let's see, what is rank? So Hawaii is number 46 for economy. Obviously, when Utah is talking about its economy, the vast majority of it is based in Salt Lake City, right? Yeah. So obviously St. George definitely doesn't have the same economic opportunities as Salt Lake City. A lot of people that are here, they tend to do like remote work.
Or are retired.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not as like, people don't tend to be coming here for like, because I know like Salt Lake City has a lot of tech jobs. It's a booming tech industry there. So a lot of people are moving there for the tech industry. We will have a very small, small number of companies here. It's just by virtue of like having that small population, right? So we can talk also about education. So education, Utah ranks number 10. That's meaning from preschool all the way on up to university. And Hawaii is ranked number 27. So Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the differences. Obviously, I would prefer to live in Utah rather than Hawaii, purely from the isolation perspective. I mean, I feel like more people would live in Hawaii if it was closer, right?
Yeah. I mean, if it was like where Catalina Island is and off of the coast of California, totally different situation. But Hawaii is smack dab in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I mean, it's a fantastic state. It's just that obviously, if you're looking to make a move out of there, Utah is a pretty fantastic place to land. And remember, as much as we love making these videos, what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, what you can do is give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email.
Yes, a member of our team will reach out to you, and our team has more than 40 years of experience here in this beautiful little corner of the American Southwest.